Welcome to the Cynical Developer, the podcast that helps you to improve your development knowledge and career through explaining the latest and greatest in development technology and providing you with what you need to succeed as a developer. We've recently launched our Patreon page, which can be found at cynicaldeveloper.com/Patreon. If you aren't familiar with Patreon, it's an easy way for those who are interested in this show to help out by simply pledging a small amount each month in sponsorship. Now that could be as little as $5 a month, which is about £3.80, or as much as you like. You will enable us to dedicate more time creating more content to help you, including videos, more blog posts, and even more shows. So if you can, head over to cynicaldeveloper.com/Patreon and get involved. In this episode, we talked to Lee Mallon from Rarely Impossible about Alexa. Lee runs Rarely Impossible, rarely work with companies to keep employees relevant in the next 10 years with the rise of automation. Today, Lee works with C# development teams to keep their skills at the cutting edge, consulting and training on Alexa voice apps and mobile apps with Xamarin and Azure. So this is the second time that Lee has been on the Cynical Developer, so welcome back.
Thanks, James. Good to be back.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out to come and talk to us about this technology. I know you're very busy, so it's good that you could come on and explain it, because I've got no experience with this technology at all, so it's going to be interesting for me as well as hopefully for the listeners.
Great, let's get started.
Yeah, so Alexa, who is she?
Well, I think for the remaining of this podcast, we should refer to it as Echo, as anyone who has such a device will shout you down with burning coals for turning on their device as they're listening. But Alexa is the Echo from Amazon is probably the biggest conversion of voice computing in the last kind of decade. It's instilled itself within the consumer market.
Right, and that's these little plastic cylinders that Amazon is selling at the moment.
Yeah, so they kind of had two devices, but more recently, in the last week, they've just refreshed the product range to include a variety of different things, from the little pucks kind of spots to things with cameras in, and then more home automation-driven cylindrical devices to compete with other products on the market from likes of Google and Apple alike.
Right, okay. So the devices are all voice controlled as well?
Yeah, the primary interaction is to be voice based. Some of the devices have a screen, but that's more of a second-hand interaction model. So if you wanted to know the weather, you would say, Echo, tell me the weather, and you would get that as an audible interaction. So it's sunny with rain predicted in the next 10 minutes. But you would also get a visual cue on some of the devices to show you a sun or for example, the song that you're playing, the title of it, that type of thing. Right,
okay. Now, I've got a little bit of experience with voice-activated stuff and voice-controlled things like your mobile phone, and you'd open your phone and you'd say, call the wife, and it would order you a pizza. Has that come on a lot in recent times? Is it much better than that? Because I find that it's quicker for me to open my phone, go to my contacts list, and pick the wife's phone number out of it to phone her, than to actually wait for the voice prompt to come on and then say, call my wife, and have that try to find it.
Yeah, I think it depends on what software and providers you're using, and what type of things you're asking and how long you've been using it. So these things improve as you use them, as the models and machine learning gets trained. But the overarching thing is that the voice recognition has jumped on leaps and bounds in the last 5 to 10 years. Getting to the point now, Microsoft Research released a report recently where they've managed to get transcribing error rates down to 5.1%, which is on par with the human transcriber. Right. So if you're asking very short phrases, and this stuff will improve over time, like in our house, the device did not know what Moana was for a few weeks, and then after repeatedly having to play the Moana soundtrack, it now can recognize that from anyone. And one of the biggest things with these things is before, as anyone who's ever used voice control from the 90s, is you had to read a book to train it. Whereas now anyone can talk to these devices, and it can guess 90 to 95% accuracy. And because all this data is now being transcribed and improved upon, it's going to get to a point in the next few years where we're very close to 99%.
That's pretty cool. And for the people out there that didn't quite catch that, I guess that is the Disney Moana, not the marijuana plant that you were talking about.
Yes, that is the Disney Moana.
Yeah, even when you said it the first time, I thought, what sort of stuff is Lee ordering at home on his on his Echo?
I'm sure California will have an app for that.
Yeah, more than likely. So why now? Why is it suddenly a big thing? Is it just the next cool thing? Is it the natural progression, or is there something else behind it?
I think we're still, it's still an innovative product. I think there's two things. One, accuracy has increased over 90%, which helps with anything. As people, we're all just getting more and more busy. So things that enable us to multitask a lot more conveniently, enable us to kind of absorb them quicker. Amazon have got to be credited with, they've just smashed the price out. So you can have a voice activated speaker, and the dot is only £35 if you get it on a good Prime day. And the quality, it's not the most amazing sound quality, but you can connect that into your kitchen or in your office and have this virtual assistant for less than £50. So they've knocked the price barrier down by tenfold.
Right.
And I think them things linked together have created this opportunity that really has propelled it forward, and as well as the generational from mobile.
So, in your opinion, it really is a convenience rather than just a cool gadget. Because I've noticed some of the other things that Amazon have tried to sell me, like they do a little button that you push and it will reorder certain items. Now that I could understand in a business setting that would be quite good, because you could be running a hotel and you've run out of washing powder or whatever and the person that's doing the washing could just press that and it will order it straight away. Whereas at home, I'm probably not that urgent that I need to press the button on the wall to order it. I can just go to the app on my phone, or I can go to the website when I sit down with the laptop or whatever and order it. So these devices, what sort of convenience are they bringing?
I think there's two bits to this. One is that the Echo technology is not just about the devices, like they are in the Amazon app itself. There is now the voice search. I think people forget that 1 in 5 Google searches are done by voice now.
Right.
This is not something that is done in the bushes. It's very mainstream, and the reason why Rarely and myself got so kind of engaged with this over a year or so ago was, I saw my kids using it, and to them it's just, we used conversation as an interface for the last few hundred years before mobiles came along.
Yep.
And it's just so natural to them. So I think for with all kind of technology iterations that we get, when we went from PC to laptop to tablet to mobile to whatever will be next, potentially voice. Normally that does come from a generational shift, but what we've found is it's kind of come from both. So what's happened is you've got the younger generation who just see it as normal. So for them, where we're saying, it takes a little bit longer to do something over voice because we haven't quite trained ourselves to use it. So we'll use our mobile. Well, they'll just use voice, and they'll think the mobile bit's slower because I'm multitask. And then the other side of it is, and it's probably the first time this has happened in a technology shift, is people who are more elderly. They find this technology easier to use than they find the current, a tablet or a phone. We've set these up for friends who've got elderly parents and just been able to, turn on radio or, ask questions one of our friends who's, their elderly grandmother's got dementia, and they can see in the Alexa app what she's asking. And they, one day, like she's just asking for Tom 20 times. So they
Yep.
know that she's having a bit of a rough day. So then they can give her a call and make sure she's okay without it being, without having a camera in the room and it being really evasive.
Yeah. So, yeah, I suppose if you're sharing the account with family members, you can see that sort of thing. But and I suppose if that data's out there, that the likes of Amazon and that are going to be able to do a lot more targeted advertising as well to you.
Yeah, well, Amazon in particular are very particular over, like, you can't really push any voice stuff with ads. They tend to get pulled. Their objective is it, and obviously who knows where this will go, is to sell you things.
Yep.
So they make it really convenient and really small in interactions to get what you want. So be it the weather, be it inventory management, be it a taxi or whatever it is.
Yep.
And the attention span is shrinking. Where we used to have banner ads, and then on mobile we just it's 5-second videos. And we've found that with building voice apps, we're talking should we use 4 words or 3 words?
Sure. Okay. So how does the technology behind it work? Because taking something from voice and converting it into something a computer can understand is probably quite complicated.
So luckily, Amazon takes away a lot of this pain for you. So the first things to really focus on are there's a lot of skepticism around the device themselves. So are they always listening? Are they recording? Currently, the truth of the matter is that they're listening locally for an awake word. And these awake words are 3 syllables to try and mitigate it mishearing you. So things like Alexa, Amazon, computer, echo.
Yep.
So they're specifically choosing words that will be hard for it to misunderstand. And then you have this starting phrase such as open, ask, play, order, start, resume. And then you say the name of it. So if it's an application or weather or Uber or whatever it may be. And then you have what is known as an utterance. So an utterance is your sentence. I want to know this. I would like this. So that kind of flows into echo, ask, delivery, to bring me my last order.
Right. Okay.
And that sentence gets broken down, and then you as a developer, you can take this information and then you create intents. So intents are that you want to do something with the conversation that's happening between the user and the device. And these intents are weighted based on how close the neural network is matched to your utterance that you've said. So, for example, if you say echo, ask Deliveroo to bring me my chicken order, then it will take that and go, well, Deliveroo is the app they've got installed, and then they'll pass through, bring me my latest order, my chicken order, to you as a developer, and then you can deconstruct that sentence, that utterance, to then act upon it.
Right, so it's a bit like fuzzy pattern matching on the waves of the speech, is it?
Yeah, it takes it a little bit more in the way of it's context around it. So it uses a lot of machine learning or Amazon Cloud Magic, shall we say, to get around the context of these things. Which is why the sentences have to be short. So if you say 14, that's like, is it the number? Is it or 40, 40, 40? So Is it a number? Is it 40? Is it I want to go for a tee off for a golf? There's all these different variations of that sentence or that word. So then you have to add context around it. So if you're asking if your app is to organize golf times, then you can discount the other things.
Sure.
And then they make it a bit easier for you to get around common things. So if someone wanted to say, what is the weather in Chester? So what's the weather in Blacon? What's the weather in Borton? What's the weather in Deeside? So you wouldn't want to have to program in all of the variations of utterances. So you have these slots, and slots can be custom. So if you've got, a list of particular menu items. You can code them in yourself and just give it a list that you want it to match against. But if it's things more generic like dates or times or first names or surnames, so you can then get back a useful bit of information. So if you said, tell me the weather for today, you would get back today's date. If you said, tell me the weather for tomorrow, that tomorrow would get converted to tomorrow's date, or next Tuesday, or in 6 weeks' time, or the third Tuesday of February. And these things are provided for you out of the box.
Right. Okay. So briefly, you touched on security there, and I think ever since the film came out about Facebook, everybody's been tinfoil hatting themselves and sticking sticky notes over their webcams and buying little port blockers to stick in their laptops so that people can't eavesdrop on them and all that sort of stuff, because everybody, all the government's listening to everyone out there, and they're waiting to just find one little thing to lock you up over. You say that it is listening for these awake words. Is it possible that somebody could misuse it and actually have it recording 24/7 or listening 24/7 for other things?
There've been reports of people getting access to do that, but they're having physical access to the device to be able to put basically firmware on, like you could on a phone or on a PC itself. There's been a few legal requests in the US where they've wanted to get data from Amazon from the device where there's been a domestic or a homicide-based issue in the property. And Amazon have said, look, we haven't got it, so we can't do it. But, I think that with any of this stuff, you have to kind of assume worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So, what is the same way that we have potentially covers over our webcams or not. I think the problem is most people just come to accept it. And as long as they're getting value from it, they kind of justify it. But I think it's a balance. If you're talking about stuff sensitive in a meeting room or a boardroom, and that can affect people's lives or share prices, then maybe you don't have it in there.
Sure. Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, I think I've spoken about similar things with people in the past and said that if you're not up to anything dodgy, you're not committing any crimes, you're not suspected of committing any crimes, then you really shouldn't be all that concerned about that sort of thing. At least from my point of view, I'm not all that bothered about it.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think with the recent thing in the US where they tried to get Amazon to reveal the audio from the device because of a domestic incident, and Amazon couldn't provide it. And actually, the thing that did it was the smart meter, because most people don't wash their driveway down at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So I think like all this stuff, all this data is being captured on us anyway. It's where is it being stored, and that's a whole other podcast episode, I assume. But I think there's things that are always going to come along. This month alone, like a research project out of China found that they could send high frequency audio to the likes of the Echo and the Google at Home devices, and access the keywords to start things and potentially order things. And the frequency was above human sound. Obviously, there's a proximity issue there.
Yep.
So you need to be near the device for it to work. But these things obviously are going to become more and more prevalent. But maybe the answer is with the likes of Google announcing yesterday that they're translating earbuds, that this stuff will become more context aware of. If you're in the house, then it turns on the microphone for you to listen. If you're in the room where it senses you, or potentially the camera stuff as well. So, like anything security, if you just got to kind of use common sense.
Sure. We touched on training as well. That I remember setting up some dictation software. I don't know if it was in Word or in something else, and it would give you set sentences to read, and you said that you don't need to do that anymore. You can just talk at the device and it will pick it up. but there's always been issues with the likes of accents or impediments and things like that. Is that still a problem, or through the machine learning, does it work out what it is that you're trying to tell the device?
Like anything, this thing's taking time, and with Alexa in particular, it's currently available in the US, the UK, and Germany. They're recently rolling out skills into this month into India and Japan. Amazon's aim is to have it in every single country that Amazon operates. So they have grand ambitions to support, obviously, dialects and accents alike. But in our development of Alexa applications, we found this is, we're still in the infancy of this stuff, and it is quite complex, to the point where, we built our own training application to determine if a company would be suitable for it. Because unfortunately, certain accents, even in the UK, speed of people speaking or, dialects, like unfortunately, it's really hard for it to work in Newcastle.
Right. What sort of purposes would one of these devices have in a business? Because, in a domestic situation, we're using it to order stuff. We're using it, like you said, to check the weather, to play music, all that sort of thing. What sort of business applications are there?
So I think it's, anything where you want to get information quickly, from simple things as, what voice enables us to do is save time. Like, it gives us an ability to multitask. So, if you were in HR, you could find out very quickly if anyone's ill today. If you're in finance, like, what's the total invoice outstanding amount, or marketing, what's our sales figures? Even as simple as facilities, like someone's broken a toilet seat in the toilet, and you can find out what's going on, who reported it. But where we've been doing projects within more minor business cases around auditing and inventory management and kind of reporting for C-suite and above. It's a lot of it is around understanding what the organization wants, and that is probably more. It's probably more of a UX and an experience problem than it is a technical one.
Right. So rather than developing these big CRM dashboard systems, you're just rolling out an Echo device and going, there you go. You can just ask it all these questions rather than the likes of Microsoft's new reporting suite that has, I can't think what it's called.
Power BI.
Yes, where Power BI, where you can type in, show me all the data for people named Jeff that bought our products between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m. or something like that. You could actually ask it that, and it would tell you it back.
Yeah, so for example, on that point, we built an add-on for Office 365, where you could say, email me the notes from the meeting that I attended last week, or archive off any videos that are over 2 gigabytes that have not been opened in 7 days onto tape drive. The voice currently is not a replacement for either a mobile or a web environment where we can get much more richer information, but it gives you a place to kind of get the information you want very quickly and very succinctly, especially where we're really busy. But that being said, like we had to develop our own training mobile app to be able to work out the things that people wanted to ask, because when what people think, how people think they're going to ask them is different to how actually people in the organization will ask.
Yeah, sure. And just before, when we were talking about accents and different languages, you mentioned the phrase rolling out of skills. What's a skill?
So Amazon defines voice apps as skills. You're adding skills to the device. So it's purely a branding thing, but basically it's a voice app. And I think that's also largely driven to the voice is an extension to an existing system, to provide you some more kind of rich, interactive experience.
Right. Okay. And I guess that the apps on these devices for the developers that are out there that haven't written anything like this before, I guess they're more like writing a Windows service for the Windows developers out there, because there's no real UI to them, or at least not on most devices. There's not a UI to them. It's all it's all done behind the scenes because it's voice activated.
Yeah, and that opens up two real key points, which is around things like branding, and also around like the technical stack. So being able to test them, the Amazon tooling is quite good, but it's still in its infancy. So for developers, there's a few things to kind of factor in, which is visibility of your application and also how you're going to build it. So for building it, you've got two main ways, which is to use Amazon's Lambda system, which is their serverless approach. And you can write your code in any of the obvious languages like JS and Python and C# and upload it to Amazon servers and get access to be able to communicate out to third party like weather services or just build up your conversation interaction model within there. Or you can integrate it into a REST endpoint and just pass a JSON payload over to your external service hosted anywhere on the web and secure that with certificates. And then you can obviously then, more securely expose internal data to the Echo device and then kind of control and monitor the output as it goes through. But from one of the key things I think that is being heavily missed if anyone's thinking like these applications are quite quick to build. You could do once you get into, you can build a nice demo within kind of an hour. But like branding is massively underestimated. So, there is an opportunity for people to build skills and get a massive uplift in notoriety because, you don't ask for music. You say, Echo, play this song on Spotify.
Yeah.
Or, find this TV program on Netflix. So, this is another paradigm shift where people can become the Hoover of a sector. But it's because the key thing to remember is if you don't brand it, then when someone says Echo or the kitchen roll, then Amazon's going to send it you, and that's going to then relate to them rather than to you. But this is a balance, it's still in its infancy. Amazon haven't released how many devices have been sold, but they do predict that by 2020 there'll be 120 million of them with Echo enabled support.
Right. That's it's quite a number of different devices, but people are going to have to stop calling their products stupid names that nobody knows how to pronounce. If they want to get into this market, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think recently there's a music track by an artist called Logic. I don't know if you've heard of him before. And he the song title is a phone number. And the phone number is for the suicide prevention hotline.
Yep.
Which is, an amazing, it's a great song, and also it's a great way to raise awareness. And it works really well where your primary input device is a mobile, because you see the number, it constantly obviously sits in, and then if you're ever in the situation where you need that support, you've got it there to be able to easily find. But you can't say that number on a voice-activated device.
Right.
Easily.
Yeah.
So, and also, like, I tracked it in our house. We say the word Spotify like 5 to 10 times a day. So if someone ever asks me about my music service, I'm reaffirming that brand to myself and to people around me of what music relates to. So the same thing goes to this, that if the Echo was the prominent platform of input, then, the song potentially should be called Logic NSPL.
Sure.
Because then more and more people say that, it becomes, more fluid, and then you build more awareness that way. Now, when will voice become that? Who knows?
Yeah. And I guess it's going to make that girl's name that you're not allowed to say fall out of favour, because we actually made a joke about that in work. We've got a person at work, their child has the same name as the device, and we joked and said, why did you name your kid after a bit of technology? But I guess if they've got one at home and they're shouting for their child to come along, then it's going to activate that device every 5 minutes.
Yeah, luckily you can change it to a few different options, but but this is a good point. As this stuff becomes available in more places, BMW have announced that cars will be Echo enabled next year.
Right.
So it becomes a bit of a new land grab of attention.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of be prepared for it. Like it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, or it could take two. But it's definitely it's a useful input device, and I would challenge people to try and add a calendar event with someone you know for 2 months from now in manually, and then do it through voice, and it will be 3 to 5 times quicker by voice.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you're saying that there was a few different options for your wake up commands on it. Can you actually customize that, or does it have to be from set words from a set library?
Yes, yeah. So at the moment it's set words. So they are Echo, the name we do not mention, Computer, and Amazon. And I'm sure they will evolve at the time. But for the time being, I think largely that they need to be of 3 syllables. They have to be certain words so that they don't get misheard. Amazon have said that so for example that Amazon can't just stop speaking to you. You have to interact first.
Yeah.
So that from a security point of view is helpful, but also from a data management point of view as well, so that it doesn't overhear stuff it shouldn't in a context. But with the latest updates, they've just released now a notification system, so you can highlight the light on the device can change colors. So at least you then have an indication that something is waiting for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. So, are there other devices out on the market that are competing with it? I think Google had a product because there was a bit of a war going on there that I heard something about a few months ago. But what's out there if you didn't want to buy into the Amazon ecosphere?
So as well as Amazon, it depends on your use case. So if you think consumer, you've got Amazon, you've got Google, with Google Home. Apple is soon to release the HomePod. Microsoft have Cortana, though they're not making any devices, but they're partnering with companies to make smart speakers. And then on the more business side, you've got the likes of IBM Watson, who don't have any physical devices, but have the ability for you to build up a knowledge-based model and train it even on your business industry, and then build voice on top of that. So the opportunities are quite wide from a consumer point of view. I think it's what are you after? What do you want? So if you want to buy stuff, then Amazon are focusing on that. If you want to ask general knowledge and information about you, well, Google knows a lot about you. And if you want more of a kind of, I guess, musical kind of speaker quality focus, then Apple's HomePod, though we haven't got a lot of information with what direction they're going to take that yet, is also an option. But even Sonos have finally announced the release of their new speaker, but again with Alexa support. Right. So Amazon are definitely the clear winners at the moment, because the barrier to entry is so low. But I think the company that will win will be the one that gets the recognition, working at 99%, and has the applications on the back end to give you value if you're using it. Because if it's not useful for you, then what's the point in using it?
Sure. I think one of the demographics you missed out there was that if you're a 7-foot+ super soldier fighting aliens that are invading the galaxy and trying to decimate everything that you know about, then the Microsoft devices is what you'll need with Cortana on there.
Of course.
I was very dubious. I was very cynical about the Echo, and a lot of people have sort of said to me, "Oh, you should get one." And I don't know. I've been a little bit wary of getting it. I've not seen the benefits of it, and I know that I got myself an Amazon Prime account, and because you're paying for that every month, I now spend more money on Amazon than I ever have done, and I've got Amazon subscriptions, and that's brought me into the Amazon Music as well. So I pay for the extra Amazon Music, which they give you extra for free to start with, and I've just recently started using Twitch Prime as well, which again is all in the Amazon's sort of ecosystem. And because everything's together with Amazon, it would make sense for me to have one of these devices. But I don't know what I would use it for at the moment.
I think the underestimation of just things like being able to play music. It sounds so simple, but the convenience in a home environment of being able to set timers, play music, resume podcasts, listen to a snippet of a Kindle book, add to the to-do lists, listen to flash briefings. These are things which are, even at home are massively convenient. If you're upstairs and you find out you've run out of toilet roll, you can just quickly say add it to the shop and it'll still reorder it, and it will learn. In the business setting, being in a meeting room and not having to, fiddle around for controls to turn things on and off, just being able to say people's names and check people in automatically to the meeting and have that information funnel back to a central system. Not all for £35 for a device. Sure. I think that's the biggest thing, is that the price barrier is at a point where it is accessible to the majority, to try it out and to benefit from this ability to gain a bit more time, which we're all in major need for at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess if you can order stuff there and then, and if you're in the city where Amazon do same day delivery, if you do run out of toilet paper, at least you've only got to wait a couple of hours for the new delivery to come, so you can sit and wait.
Exactly.
So if the listeners want to get out there and actually start working with Echo and the technology, where should they go? What should they be looking at? Have you got any good websites, any blogs, any links, anything like that we can stick in the show notes as well for people to learn more about Echo? Yeah,
I think the main thing is there's a great intro of all of this stuff on Alexa.design. It takes you straight to the Amazon developer portal and shows you kind of what you can do with that stuff and ability to sign up quite quickly. If you head over to the Rarely.io site, you can see our starting series around where we put Alexa into different business environments and what it could do. But I would say once you've kind of got your basis of that, if you can afford one, then just order a device and start having a play. You can get something built within an hour and see what you can do, or just download some of the skills from other people. One of the great opportunities for developers at the moment is, though there's about 15,000 skills globally, in the UK market, they're a lot lower and they're growing. And Amazon are rewarding developers by paying them if they have a popular skill, specifically around things like lifestyle and gaming, to build more skills and utilize the platform more, and you can make some money on it.
Right. What sort of skills are people building and Amazon are taking on board and paying them for? If any listeners have just been intrigued by that statement.
A lot of them are focused around lifestyle. Gaming in particular is a big topic. Obviously, it changes from Amazon side continuously, but education, I think they span quite a wide range. A lot of it is just about engagement. It's just how do you drive that kind of usability of it. I think one of the top skills is daily meditation application.
Right. Okay.
Even ourselves, like where we built a Nerf War game for the office, so we can add an extra dimension to our lunchtime Nerf War playing.
Yeah, your lunchtime Nerf Wars, just in case any of your clients are listening in. Yeah. Don't spend all day playing Nerf.
No.
Awesome. Well, it has intrigued me. It has pushed me to maybe pick up a device and have a play around with it and see what it can do. Because I do sit here in the office and play music from the laptop and things. So, yeah, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. So maybe even from that point of view, it could be good for me. And I listen to it through a really rubbish old speaker anyway. So even if it's not the best quality speaker, it's probably not going to be any worse than what I'm using on a day-to-day basis anyway. So that sort of wraps everything up. So I'll thank you again for coming on and talking to us about something new and exciting. So thanks.
No problem.
And thank you for listening to The Cynical Developer. I'm James Stoddart, and you've been listening to Lee Mallon talking about that device that we shouldn't mention the name of. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, then drop us an email, a tweet, or leave a comment on the website where you can find all the resource links, show notes for each episode. And if you enjoy this episode, please leave a review on your favourite podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it is, and help The Cynical Developer to reach more developers around the globe.